And the game of the year is Baldur's Gate 3.
I didn't expect it anymore. Thank you so much. A game like Baldur's Gate 3 isn't possible if you don't have an incredible team working on it. And the team at Larian spent their hearts and souls for 6 years on this game in sometimes very difficult circumstances. This was our COVID game. Along the way, we lost quite a few people also, so we want to dedicate this to all the people we lost, and especially to Jim, our lead cinematic artist, who passed away in the last month. I want to thank over 2,000 people, so sit back and relax. But I also want to thank everybody that supported us throughout this entire effort. Our families, our friends, our partners. You were the best, and without you, we couldn't have done it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hey everybody, and welcome back. Thanks for checking out my second video of this 3-part deep dive series into Baldur's Gate 3. Please click the like and subscribe button to get notified when new content is published. If you watched my first video in this series, you now know the history of Black Isle and Larian Studios, as well as the lore and environment of Baldur's Gate. This video will cover the gameplay mechanics first, and I'll sprinkle in my opinions when the topics arise. There shouldn't be any spoilers here, but some mechanics do become available to the player after certain events transpire. So here's your blanket spoiler warning. Baldur's Gate 3 is a role-playing video game that has gained immense popularity among players. The gameplay and mechanics of Baldur's Gate 3 are designed to provide an immersive gaming experience originally on the personal computer, but also allows adaptability to use a controller, and there are options for Microsoft's Xbox and Sony's PlayStation. In this discussion, we will explore the various gameplay elements and mechanics. BG3's gameplay mechanics hold roots to the original battle systems from Larian Studios' predecessors. I need to point out, I did play the original games as they were released when I was 16 years old back in 1998, and then again when GOG re-released the enhanced editions, but that was when the disease shut the world down. My disclaimer is this: while I vaguely do remember certain bits about the original game, affectionately called the OG, I am now 41 years old, and the enhanced editions are something I can reflect more robustly on regarding the series. So any of you old bards can still recollect how the OGs were, please leave a comment below and let's chat about it. While there are similarities in gameplay when referencing the OGs, the gameplay and mechanics of these two games differ significantly due to advancements in technology and game design. Not to mention, Larian Studios was wise enough not to exclude Xbox and PlayStation gaming communities, allowing them to reach a much broader population of gamers. As noted, BG3's gameplay now allows for players to use a controller regardless of what system they play on. I personally have a Rogue Zephyrus laptop and switch between using the traditional keyboard and mouse combo with the Xbox One controller that I have. I do appreciate having the ability to recline in my chair with a controller and play some grindy parts of the game, but using the keyboard and mouse combo grants way more versatility. I believe paying homage to the OGs is what the developers had in mind when they designed this combat system, but it should be reiterated that technology back in the 1990s is drastically different than what it is here in 2003. Side note, I replayed the earlier parts of Baldur's Gates 1 and 2 just to collect footage for this video, and it felt like I was a third world gamer. Baldur's Gate 1, when it was released in 1998, had a more traditional isometric view and utilized a real-time combat system with a pause function. That meant whenever you would engage in combat, you could tap the space bar and create a pseudo-style turn base, providing you an opportunity to select spells and actions, thereby gaining the advantage. Baldur's Gate 3, on the other hand, utilizes a more modern and immersive immersive gameplay design. The game provides a 3D perspective and utilizes a traditional turn-based combat system, pausing the game for the player to strategically think and plan their moves out. The story is more open-ended and allows for a greater selection of player choices and more opportunities for consequences. It should go without being said, but in addition, Baldur's Gate 3 features more advanced graphics, voice acting, and character animations, making for a more cinematic gaming experience, but I digress. Overall, when comparing Baldur's Gates 1, 2, and 3, they do share similarities in terms of their setting and lore. However, Baldur's Gate 3 builds on the foundations set by its predecessors and offers a more dynamic and engaging gameplay experience, while offering a level of immersion and self-projection, ensuring those choices and consequences stick and hit the player hard. During my first playthrough, I lost Gale as a companion due to failing a persuasion check, and the notice indicated he left the party permanently. The only thing I could do was restart. Talking about companions and characters, one of the most intriguing aspects of the game is the character creation process, is the sheer number of options available to the player. The game offers a wide range of races and classes, each with its own set of abilities and strengths, but also its vulnerabilities and weaknesses. The player can choose to play as a human, a dwarf, an elf, or even more exotic races like a tiefling or drow. The variety behind races and classes ensures that the player can create characters that are unique and reflective of their own preferences. Moreover, the character creation process in Baldur's Gate 3 also allows the players to customize their character's appearance, from their hairstyle and clothing to the facial features and tattoos. The game's detailed character creation tools ensure the player can create characters that are not only unique, but also visually striking. This level of customization allows players to feel more invested in their characters, making them more attached, and ultimately leading to more immersive gameplay experience. In addition to the visual customization options, Baldur's Gate 3 also offers a vast array of skills and abilities that players can choose from. Players can specialize in a particular skill or ability, making them more effective in combat or providing them with unique abilities outside of combat. The game's skill system is designed to be flexible, allowing players to develop their characters in a way that suits their playstyle. Another interesting bit within the character customization system is the inclusion of backstories. Each character can select a unique backstory that provides context and motivation for their actions throughout the game. Any backstory can be chosen by the player or randomly generated, adding an element of unpredictability to the game. The inclusion of backstories not only makes the character more relatable, but also adds depth to the game's story and world building. Overall, the character creation process in Baldur's Gate 3 is a time-consuming and crucial aspect of the game. It allows players to create unique characters that reflect their own preferences, while also providing a level of immersion and investment into the game's lore and environment. Shifting gears back to combat-related stuff, Larian Studios built a combat system that offers an exciting variety of gameplay elements to keep players engaged. Again, combat in Baldur's Gate 3 is turn-based, which means that players must strategize and plan their moves carefully to come out on top. The game's combat system is designed to be challenging and rewarding, with each encounter requiring a different approach. Players must use their skills and abilities creatively to defeat their enemies. I personally like being able to push enemies off of a high area. The animation and watching them go splat is somewhat satisfying, but there is something that can be said about a game that allows you to interact with the environment in the way Baldur's Gate does. I can't think of too many other games that will do the same. If you try to pick a lock and are unable or unsuccessful at picking the lock, you are also able to opt in for a strength check, being able to knock the door down. But even if that fails, you can always choose to burn it down with a fireball spell. You have options. The combat system is engaging and exciting thanks to its dynamic and responsive nature. Players can choose from a vast array of spells and abilities, each with its unique set of advantages and disadvantages. This allows for the player to experiment with different combinations of spells and abilities that best suit their playstyle. With several difficulty options, the game is tailored with each encounter requiring players to think critically and plan their moves out carefully, or simply hack and slash their way through the story elements. Oddly, the ability to multi-class is directly connected to the difficulty selection, where the easy mode strips that function away completely. Unlike most games, Baldur's Gate 3 does not allow for the players to alter the difficulty throughout the gameplay. That suggests certain story elements and narratives are locked into each difficulty, increasing the replayability after completing the whole game, thereby preventing the follow-on playthroughs from becoming stale. I was able to play the first act 3 different ways, giving me 3 different experiences all at the same time. This game features a wide bestiary of enemies, each with a unique set of strengths and weaknesses. Since Baldur's Gate 3 follows the rules from D&D 5th edition, each time a player makes an attempt at attacking an enemy, the game instantly dice rolls the action. If the player's stats and modifiers surpass the enemy's armor class, or AC for short, and active buffs, then the attack lands. I've read where a lot of community boards inquire how they either miss or zero out their attack. Simply put, it's the computation of several random number generators making it so. But do not fret, re-emphasizing the character builds, available equipment, and skill checks more than help the players overcome that perilous obstacle. Therefore, players must adapt their strategy to each encounter with an emphasis on their strengths and oppositional weaknesses. The game's Bestiary ensures that combat never becomes repetitive or dull, keeping players engaged and invested throughout the whole playthrough. I kept dying at the Adatomite Forge because I neglected to read the Guardian's character sheet. When I did, I equipped my team with bashing weapons and beat it on the next try, simply because I exploited its weakness. BG3's detailed animations and attention to detail are a main contributor to how the game is incredibly immersive. The game's visuals bring each encounter to life, making it feel like the players are truly in the middle of the battle. Moreover, the sound effect and music deepens the immersion, making the atmosphere tense and exciting, or easing and cheerful. Fun fact, the fungus people living in the Underdark use music and sound waves to communicate emotionally with each other and with the player. I'm probably going to butcher this, but Boris Slavov is the game's musical director and chief composer. He has worked on other projects including Divine Divinity Original Sin 2. As a cool Easter egg, Larian Studios created him as an NPC later in the game, honoring and cementing his role with the company. The game uses his music styles to immerse the players and connect them with the environment independent of the visual stimuli. I, most often, find this musical characteristic in Square Enix's Final Fantasy games, especially how they use music to connect emotions to a specific character, somewhat giving the character an actual theme song. PG3 doesn't get that deep, but they certainly employ music all the same. Okay everybody, let's wrap this up. The turn-based combat system, character customization scheme, game difficulty, bestiary, and all the music cues make every Baldur's Gate player engaged, invested, and rewarded with the story. The game combines each element, making a challenging and rewarding playthrough, with each encounter requiring a different series of choices, making the player change strategy for each fight. As a side note, don't forget to manually save after each encounter. This cannot be underpined enough. Some easy fights will go sideways quickly, and a lot of easy fights might go into 30 or more turns. Despite the autosave function, it's practical just to do it yourself after each checkpoint. And with that, I believe we're done. I appreciate you watching and listening to this video. I hope it is helpful and gives you more insight as to the background of Baldur's Gates 1, 2, and 3, but more specifically 3. If you haven't done so, please click the like and subscribe button and wait for the next video.